Well, Saints fans, this is going to be an interesting week at the selection table after a deplorable loss against the Dogs on Easter Sunday. Welcome back to the Predicted 23. My name's Ari. We're coming up against the Lions this week. I'm back from Japan. I literally just got off the flight about 2 hours ago, so straight back into Saints footy. No, it's very good to be back. Before we get into it, though, we want to hear from you. Do you disagree, agree with the team? Let us know in the comments. We love the engagement. So the last 2 weeks in review, because I wasn't here last week, round 5, I actually got everything right. Emergencies, sub, changes, great, big tick. Glad to actually get one of them right. And last week, Jake said Henry would come in, got that right. Keeler, he said Keel would come in. Interesting, Jake. Yeah, I wasn't so sure about that one, but not that. Ari came in instead. Angus Hasty would come out, got that right, and Zach Jones out. He stayed in, and Toby ended up being out. So pretty good week from Jake. Yeah, so this is going to be a very interesting one. Before we start, I want to say this. I don't think I'm going to get it right this week because I think two things are going to happen. One, Ross isn't going to overreact to the loss. Obviously, it was terrible, but he doesn't seem like the sort of coach that's just going to swing the axe after. I could be wrong. That's just sort of the way I'm reading it. But at the same time, I do think there's going to be one selection that will surprise everyone, whether that's a big player coming out or a player coming in that is on no one's radar. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Anyway, let's get into it. 3 changes. So yeah, I don't think a huge overreaction from Ross, but I think some change needs to happen. Coming into the side, Hugh Boxall, Toby Travalia, Dougal Howard. Let's talk through it. So first of all, Hugh Boxall, this is so overdue. I really still think he should have played in round 1, but it is what it is. We're here now, and I think he's ready to debut. He's been dominating at Sandy. Last week had 33 touches and 9 tackles. Boxall is ready to go, and the fans can't wait to see him. So let's get him in this week. We need something fresh. We need something new because obviously last week nothing went right. We need some fresh legs to come in the team and change something up. So Hugh Boxall, I would love to see him debut this week. Toby Travalia, 2 goals and 26 touches at Sandy. I thought he played well. He's one that it's like, I know he's obviously just come out and we don't want to just be dropping and bringing him in every couple of weeks. But I think like we did with Philippou and Wilson, I want him to be playing maximum games, getting lots of exposure to AFL. And if he's earning his spot through the AFL, I think he should come in. And, there's players that should come out. There's a wide list of players that could be getting dropped this week. So I think Toby's one that's got to go in. And Dougal Howard, he is a test. So obviously this isn't locked in, but it would be so good to have him back. I think defensively, it's much needed. We need another tall in the team. We've been crying out for one, but frankly, Isaac Keeler, Harry Boyd, and I love Ari Schoenmaker, but I just don't think one of those is a viable option. So having Dukes back in means we can get that extra tall. And yeah, going into the outs then, Ari Schoenmaker. He's unlucky. He actually played okay on the weekend. Does some really nice things with ball in hand. I thought, even if it doesn't hit a target, just a 60, 70 meter kick to gain territory and force a stoppage is a win for us some of the time. So he does that, but still working on the defensive side of his game. And he is unlucky because obviously Howard's returning this week. If Howard wasn't returning, maybe he'd stay in. But of course, I think if Howard doesn't pass the test, then Ari probably keeps his spot. But that one is to be seen. Zach Jones out. Can't fault this bloke's effort really ever. I just think we need to inject something new into this lineup. So I'm a bit slow today. I'm a little jet lagged. I can't lie. I just had an overnight flight. But no, Zach Jones, you can never fault his effort. But yeah, he'll just have to make way. And like I said, we're just going to have to inject someone new and fresh into the lineup. It's nothing personal with him. I think with his age, it's sort of play him as needed. You're not sort of wanting to make room for a Zach Jones type. So yeah, maybe a bit unlucky, maybe a bit harsh, but I think he's going to have to make room for the one of the 3 players that I've listed. Ryan Burns. I think this has been looming for a while. He hasn't been terrible. I haven't watched a Ryan Burns game this year and gone, wow, Ryan Burns was so bad. It's not that at all. It's just he hasn't consistently played well. We've been seeing, enough, and we've been seeing enough from him to keep his side, but I think potentially with a result like that, players like him are going to get unlucky who haven't been terrible but just aren't quite in the form that we need them in. So I do think he's going to make room. So not a huge swinging of the axe. Zach Jones, Ari Schoenmaker, Ryan Burns coming out. But that's the way I'm seeing it this week. Let's talk about who else could be in contention. Hunter Clark and Jack Carroll are tests, but I think if they're fit, they're just going to play VFL anyway. Philippou, just a quick note on him. Looks like he might be ready to return either next week or the week after, so very exciting. Hasty, I think unlucky, just no room for him. Also, just shout out to Max Heath. I don't think he's going to play, but had his best game probably ever for Sandy and is starting to knock on the door for selection. So shout out to him. Alex Taru is just building in the VFL. Maybe he's the shock selection this week. I don't know, but I think, they're going to want to... He's going to have to string together a few good performances in the VFL before he gets an AFL call-up. So Dan Butler's still 2 to 3 weeks away as well. So holding their spots that maybe they shouldn't. I'm going to go on a bit of a rant here for a second about Jack Steele, and probably not what you think I'm going to say. So before I go into it, I'll just say, yes, he has been poor these last 2 weeks. He's been quite bad. On the field, as a leader, we haven't seen anything from him. Obviously that's just what we're seeing. We're not behind closed doors. But yeah, as a leader and on field, just not playing well, not leading the way we'd like him to. However, I just feel like there's some serious short-term memory from a section of St Kilda fans who are just writing him off as a player and even asking him to be stripped of the captaincy. This guy's played 2 bad games coming off of an injury. We're talking about a 2-time All-Australian, 2-time best and fairest winner, and maybe people don't see this the same way I do, but this bloke has carried our club for the last 5 years. And I just think to play 2 bad games and his captaincy to come into question, I just cannot get around that whatsoever. I'm firmly staying on the Steele train. I expect him to bounce back. And we can definitely criticize poor performances. He has been poor. He's been terrible these last 2 weeks. But writing off his career or calling him step down as captain because of 2 bad games is just a huge overreaction, and I think borderline disrespectful. So should he be dropped? In my opinion, definitely not. If things haven't improved in a few weeks, then it might be time for us to start having that conversation. If nothing changes, maybe it's going to be a positional thing. Do we move him forward? I don't know, but I'm backing a 2-time All-Australian, 2-time best and fairest winner, a bloke who has done so much for this footy club to bounce back. 2 bad games, absolutely, but I'm expecting him to bounce back. And it almost feels like he's getting that same treatment that Max King and Brad Hill have wrongfully gotten, and it kind of speaks to the way, a certain section of the fan base treats our star players. Like, of course, constructive criticism is great, but I don't think Brad Hill and Max King are too eager to engage with fans all that much after some of the treatment that they've gotten, and who could honestly blame them? I'd hate to see Steele, an absolute warrior for our club, feel the same way. So yes, criticize constructively when it's deserved, absolutely. But don't forget, while we can hold people and in the club accountable, players included, we're there to show support. So, that's what we're here for. I just wanted to call that out. Jack Steele's been terrible, but I'm backing him to bounce back. Brad Hill and Rowan Marshall, similar-ish conversation. They are both so out of form. And they're senior players. We need so much more out of them. They need to lift in a big way. Or I don't want to be talking about Brad Hill, Jack Steele, Rowan Marshall in the selection video. They just should be absolute locks, consistently performing. So all 3 of them, it's been disappointing. And I want all of them to bounce back. Darcy Wilson, he's way out of form. Also needs to lift, or he might see himself getting the same treatment that Philippou got last year, where he spent maybe a month in the VFL. So yeah, we'll see how that one goes. Lance Collard and Max Hall, I don't think they're in danger. I just want to shout them out and say, while maybe they're not playing great, imagine being a forward, for St Kilda these last few weeks, especially, this last week. We're just getting absolutely no delivery in there, no good delivery at that. So both of them definitely staying in the side, and I just want to keep pumping AFL games into both of them. I think they're doing good things. Anthony Caminiti's been great, and I think, it might become a conversation. Does he lose his spot when Howard comes back in? I certainly hope not, and I don't think that's the case. Maybe it just gives us the option, to be a bit taller in the forward line. Maybe Caminiti goes back to the forward line, or we play with an extra tall down back. Either way, I think we're going to be better off with, a bit of extra height. And Liam Henry, it was just a terrible game for him to return in. Like, obviously, he didn't play well in that first half. Him getting subbed off could potentially mean they're going to put him back to the VFL. I really hope not. I want to see him get another run, a full run at it, and, not in a game where we're getting absolutely demolished in every facet of the game. So, yeah, a lot of players that are holding their spots for mine this week that are in a bit of danger. So an interesting week, a very interesting week for selection. I'm interested to see how people are going to react to the conversations I'm having in this video, but we'll see. To go through the video to go through the team, from fullback, Liam Stocker, Dougal Howard coming in, Jimmy Webster. From halfback, we've got Nasiah Wanganeen-Malira, Callum Wilkie, Jack Sinclair. On the wings, Darcy Wilson and Bradley Hill. On the half forward line, Liam Henry, Mitch Owens and Mason Wood. Full forward line, Max Hall, Cooper Sharma, Jack Higgins. Rowan Marshall in the ruck, supported in the midfield by Garcia. Jack Steele, hoping for him to bounce back, Jack McRae. On the bench, we've got Anthony Caminiti, Hugh Boxall, hopefully making a debut, Lance Collard, Marcus Windhager, and I've currently got Toby Travalia slated as the sub. We'll see how that one pans out. I think Collard could potentially also be a sub. I hate the idea of debuting someone and making them the sub, so I really hope it's not Boxall. But then, yeah, Harry Boyd, Ryan Burns, and Zach Jones as the emergencies. So, a lot to talk about this week. We'll see how this pans out. I'm super interested to see what the team's going to be looking like on Thursday night when it's announced. So, until next week, Saners, yeah, we'll talk then, I guess. I'm so tired. I need to go have a nap, but yeah, go the Saints.